for transboundary water cooperation, capacity development for transboundary water cooperation, funding and financing for transboundary water cooperation and infrastructure development. Botswana is one of the 4 Southern Africa nations that could become highly water stressed by 2040 under a business as usual scenario. It is therefore important to move towards a risk management approach in water planning and management to ensure water availability for better economic growth. Adaptation to climate change will involve tailor-made interventions that are thoughtfully integrated into existing development processes and activities. The government of Botswana is making deliberate efforts to change the trajectory of our developments by embracing investment by the private sector and allowing the private sector to do what it knows best. Efficiency in water supply and sanitation service delivery also requires the construction of conveyance pipelines, the rehabilitation and expansion of reticulation networks, the construction of sewer networks, and service delivery throughout the whole on-site sanitation service chain. Botswana stands at the edge of a new chapter through what we recently began, the Botswana Economic Transformation Program. This is a program that aims to ensure that innovation, enterprise, and local ambition fuel our journey to a new future of prosperity. We are building a political and economic position which will open doors to those, the investors, who are ready, willing, and able to build with us. This is a call to action for thinkers, investors, entrepreneurs, and institutions with bold ideas that can spark real economic progress. The Botswana Economic Transformation Program will, in a nutshell, engage projects or ideas that unlock new engines of growth across the country, bring fresh thinking to old challenges, create jobs, and expand opportunities for the people of Botswana. We trust that it will also position Botswana competitively in the region and globally, and support inclusive and sustainable development, not just growth. Botswana critically needs investment in water and sanitation infrastructure. This summit couldn't have come at a more opportune time for Botswana. As we intensify the involvement of investors in resolving the water challenges I've enumerated, these are opportunities for African and global investors to partner with us for shared returns. Let us therefore take this occasion, take advantage of it as custodians of a shared and precious inheritance to ensure that we act collectively, we act for the best interests of the African continent and each other, and we provide our countries our continent with the water that it needs to thrive. So thank you. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for the privilege of your company here today, and the pleasure of your kind attention. Thank you so very much.
Thank you very much, His Excellency, the President of Botswana. Indeed, we are sharing water basin, our transboundaries, especially in SADC. They need attention in terms of funding. Ladies and gentlemen, the heads of state and government, they've spoken. There are people who are supposed to respond. We cannot bring presidents all the way to be here, then we don't respond. By the time they leave here, they must at least have a clear message that will motivate them throughout. When they go to the heads of state meetings, they must say that summit has responded. My co-director, do you want to come and call those who are supposed to respond? Others can respond to me. Just say, here's a message, pass this message with this billion and billion and billion. That will take us far. Billion, just a billion, just a small billion. Then those billions will give us 30 billion that we want. Is that good?
Minister, before you go. Thank you very much, Minister. I think the ministers and the audiences got to see Minister in action. I just think it's important that we also show the excellencies how our minister can fire up people and even be the rainmaker herself. Minister, if you could do just for the presidency. And
President Boko said Botswana is a country that is water scarce. President Ramaphosa said that we are in control of serious things like rivers, waters, dams. So clouds are gathering. With powers vested in me by myself, may I request my honorable leaders of state to stand. And all delegates. Where's the roving? Where's the roving mic? Roving mic. Because now we really want to invest in water, but there must be rain. With these presidents here, there's no way that you cannot have rain. Clouds are gathering, 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 clouds are gathering. It's raining, it's raining, it's raining, it's raining, it's raining. Thunder! Thunder! That's all, okay.
I knew that was going to get the room warmed up. She's nicknamed Baby Water here. That's her nickname. Thank you very much, Your Excellencies, and thank you, Minister, again, showing your passion in what you do. Now, as the Minister said, it's time to get to hear also the other side. The clarion call has been made by His Majesty, by the presidents, but now may we hear also from those who dirty their hands in the issues of money. His Excellency, the President of the Republic of South Africa, says he's smelling money. So we have a person here who probably he might have been smelling. May I call the Executive Secretary of the African Union Development Agency, Her Excellency Nados Bekele Thomas, to come up here to you respond from this podium, yes. And then, if I may also just, because of time constraints, if we could just limit it to 5, it's okay. A round of applause.
Thank you very much. You know, after this wonderful, wonderful intervention of our minister, my wonderful sister, thank you very much for the animation. I would really like to be brief and to acknowledge His Excellency President Cyril Ramaphosa, the President of the Republic of South Africa, Chair of the G20, but Chair of our also Presidential Infrastructure Initiative, Your Majesty, Your Highness, King of Eswatini, His Excellency, the Deputy President representing the President of the Federal Republic of Somalia, the President of Botswana, Your Excellency, I want to recognize you, our Commissioner who is representing also His Excellency Mr. Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, Chairperson of the African Union, Honorable Ministers, Captains of Business and Financial Institutions, ladies and gentlemen, I have been taking meticulous notes as my leaders were speaking because this is a response to what they have requested us, to do. And our job as a development agency is really to implement the decisions, their instructions carefully. And therefore, on behalf of Auda NEPAD, I would like, first of all, to express my deep appreciation to His Excellency President Ramaphosa, South Africa. Like I said, he's chair of our Presidential Infrastructure Champion of the 12, chairperson of the 12 champions, presidential champions, and the chair of the G20. I would also like, the government of South Africa for the excellent organization of the summit, which is a testimony of South Africa's commitment to effective cooperation between African nations and the positioning of Africa, like the President said, in the G20 agenda, why not in the entire global agenda. This summit, Excellencies, is exceptionally timely. The designation of 2026 as the African Union Year of Water and Sanitation is a commendable decision and is necessary for call to action that responds to the most pressing imperatives of our time. The chosen theme invites us as the Union's development agency to redouble our efforts and sharpen our strategies now, providing robust technical support, sound policy advice, and effective facilitation to our member states and regional economic communities under the banner Excellencies, the Africa Team. The Africa Team represents a coordinated, concerted effort of the African Union Development Agency and other sister agencies together with regional economic communities so that we can deliver as one, not in a fragmented way, but as one, delivering as one. It's through such a concerted, coordinated effort that we can ensure, and we believe, that when we arrive at the year 2026, we are not just observing a theme, but actively realizing the aspirations of Agenda 2063 in the critical domains of water and sanitation. Your Excellencies, Africa is tired of decisions, strategies, and plans. Africa wants action, Africa wants implementation. And like all our leaders have said, water is a vital source, it's a source of life, it's the foundation for our economic transformation. And therefore, I have encapsulated 3 major takeaways from this, which we would integrate in our plans. As the Majesty said, we must treat, and all the other leaders have said, we must treat water as critical and not only for survival, but as a foundation for our economic transformation, is an economic infrastructure. And we need to safeguard this critical resource from climate threat and also from inefficiencies. And this has been highlighted also by the President of Botswana. And we've seen that because inefficiencies and the climate impact is costing Africa $200 billion a year. And we need to seal that. The Sahel, as you know, Lake Chad, is losing its resources by 90%. And therefore, we need to really keep an eye on this. It's very critical and very important. As we look to get more, we need to also safeguard what we have. And therefore, you're right, Your Excellency, President of Botswana, we must integrate water management into our regional value chains, linking transboundary river basins with energy corridors and agro-industrial zones. The message to our partners is clear. We need to invest in water, as water is a prerequisite for Africa's industrial future also. And therefore, I call upon all business partners and all DFIs to join hands with us. And in this respect, I would like to inform you that with the support of the World Bank, we are building a program in terms of capacity building, in terms of governance, reforms for utilities, legal and regulatory frameworks to enable African countries to access IDA financing in WASH. So we're strengthening the capacities of African countries to make sure they have access to financing of the IDA. We have started with 12 countries, 2025, 2026. We're going to increase the number of countries so that African countries would establish their programs on WASH properly and have access to resources that are there with the World Bank. This is the number one, which is really very critical and very important takeaway. The second one is we must translate our commitments into delivery through bankable water solutions. The problem is not always a lack of money, it's the gap between available liquidity and financing. And this has been said again and again. And therefore, we need to create a predictable environment for investment through enabling policies and regulations, and AUDA-NEPAD through the Africa Water Investment Program and the service delivery mechanism is dedicated to helping our member states prepare projects that can attract capital and achieve financial growth. And these are aligned to PDAPAP 2 and also to our PC initiatives. For this purpose, for this summit, actually, the African Union Development Agency has worked with all the parties and stakeholders to build a pipeline of 80 water and sanitation projects across 38 countries. And these projects, we hope, would be presented in line with the President Ramaphosa's message, would be presented to all platforms where we would be able to mobilize resources. Number one, to translate these initiatives into bankable projects. Number two, to facilitate the actualization of PPP, public-private partnership, in the member states by working with member states, DFIs, and businesses to establish conducive environments in the countries so that we have the public-private partnership, both policies, strategies established, legal regulatory framework also strengthened. The third one is to present these projects at market sounding events and investment fora, including the upcoming October Luanda Financing Summit. You're all invited to the Luanda Infrastructure Financing Summit, which will take place, of course, in Angola, and then followed by the November G20, the COP conference, the UN Water Summit, etc. So these projects are going to be developed further to make sure that we would have projects that would be really concretized within the coming 3-4 years. The third is universal access, as suggested by all leaders. Universal access to water is possible, but it requires a shift to systemic change. We must move beyond a focus on individual projects to building sustainable systems. This means operationalizing performance-based grant schemes to attract private capital, expanding our digital monitoring systems, and deepening utility reforms. It requires a new way of working where accountability is paramount. And we use tools like the AIP Water Investment Scorecard to track our progress. Building on these outcomes, we would also see that, our PC platform, Your Excellency Chair, when we were talking earlier on, would also include and integrate WASH. The WASH would be integrated in the PC water portfolio. This initiative would certainly help us institutionalize top-level political engagement, driving transformative change through high-level advocacy and peer accountability. It would mobilize domestic resources and align efforts across all relevant sectors: health, education, finance, and water, to close the investment gap and achieve universal access by 2030. We stand ready with your sovereign mandate to operationalize this initiative and deliver the results our people deserve. Our job is really to make sure that whatever comes out of this, the 80 projects and more that are in the AIP, in the PWAP2, in the PC, are really translated in terms of bankable projects and de-risked for private sector to participate, and to make all these intentions to be a reality for the people. Our people are impatient and they need response. So we depend and count on all partners to make this a reality. I want to thank you very much. Yes, time is up. Yes, I want to thank you very much. Our job is nothing but translate all this in terms of action and make sure that we implement them. And we are accountable, Your Excellency. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We're moving on to the African Development Bank, and Mr. Muchera Chirwa will come up and give his response to the Excellencies. Thank you, sir.
Your Excellency, President Cyril Ramaphosa, President of the Republic of South Africa, and Chair of the G20 and our gracious host, Your Majesty King Mswati III of Eswatini, Your Excellency President Duma Boko, President of Botswana, Your Excellency the Deputy Prime Minister of the Federal Republic of Somalia, Your Excellencies, Ambassadors, High Commissioners, and heads of diplomatic missions present here, Your Excellency Jakaya Kikwete, former President of the United Republic of Tanzania and alternate co-chair of the AIP High-Level Panel on Water Investments in Africa, distinguished representative of the Chairperson of the African Union Commission, Your Excellency Commissioner for Agriculture, Blue Economy and Environment, Moses Vilakati, Honorable Pemi Majordina, Minister of Water and Sanitation of the Republic of South Africa, Honorable Ministers from other African countries present here, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen. It is a great honor for me to stand here before you this morning on behalf of the African Development Bank to present to you a statement which is really a voice representative of the support and that of other sister multilateral development banks actively supporting the water sector here in Africa. But first of all, allow me to convey apologies from the President of the African Development Bank, Dr. Akinwumi Adesina, who would have loved to be here today, but has been unable to join us due to other conflicting engagements. Your Excellencies, our objective as multilateral development banks, subject to further discussions and refinement amongst ourselves, is to culminate into a joint statement that responds to the needs and aspirations out of this summit. We at the African Development Bank and other MDBs, in the framework of this summit, prioritize water security and recognize the centrality of water in almost all sustainable development goals for Africa's economic growth, social development, and for the creation of sustainable jobs in an ever-growing context affected by climate change. In that framework, we acknowledge and welcome the growing ambition expressed by Africa's heads of state and government, government officials, and private sector leaders in the context of this groundbreaking African Union Africa Investment Program Investment Summit. We remain committed to supporting and applauding the development and transformation of Africa's water sector through the development of bespoke financial, technical, and knowledge support tailored to the needs and objectives of African member countries and to address their unique domestic, regional, and global circumstances. We therefore reiterate our support, aiming to accelerate delivery of water security and sanitation investments for improved access to water, sanitation and hygiene, integrated water resources management, enhancing transboundary water governance and development for an efficient, impactful contribution to the development of water-related sectors such as agriculture, energy and ecosystems, strengthening water sector infrastructure operations, preparedness, building on our track record of supporting strategic water infrastructure development, climate resilient adaptation solutions, and nature-based solutions in Africa. Over the recent years, we as the MDBs have jointly been committing an average of between 10 and 12 billion US dollars of financing annually in the water sector. Our objective is obviously to scale up and increase those numbers to achieve higher results and impacts. As we aim to drive the water security to the center of the global development agenda, as expressed by Your Excellencies, and to actively contribute to addressing the continent's 30 billion water investment gap, we welcome South Africa's G20 Presidential Legacy Initiative, Global Outlook Council on Water Investments, anchored in the G20 Global Political Leadership, as a means to elevate water investments as a political and economic priority across G20, MDBs, UN water-related COPs, and related regional platforms. We will contribute through our joint and individual efforts to scale up and to align our financing flows with a view to deliver on the SDG goals, Africa Union's Agenda 2063, and the post-2025 Africa Water Vision and Policy. We will also continue supporting our member countries to develop ambitious, sustainable, long-term strategies and compacts to enhance project preparedness with a view to increase financing opportunities and foster more purposeful and better informed investments. Cognizant of the global challenge in the development finance ecosystem and exacerbated by the growing water demand in Africa, we will continue to work together with climate facilities to significantly increase climate finance mobilization while increasing delivery and effectiveness. This will include exploring possibilities to scale up private sector participation, blended financing, co-financing in the water supply and sanitation sector, to accelerate delivery of infrastructure investments and supporting continent-wide climate transition. We will explore ways to scale up technical assistance to support towards technology and innovation promotion in the water sector. This will include a focus on technologies that deliver SDG 6 at a lower cost, technologies that can improve access and reducing the time spent on fetching water, particularly by women, promoting irrigation technologies, as well as technologies and mechanisms for effective water reuse, better control of processes and consumption, both for residential and industrial needs. This will be done in application of circular economy principles as a potential creator of value across beneficiary industries. Your Excellencies, we pledge to continue to prioritize sustainability and impact at scale because we believe that the improvement of service delivery and operational efficiency is as important as investment in capital expenditure. In other words, we need to increase our focus on managing what we already have and sustaining the infrastructure that we have for the long-term use. We will pursue an active coordination and partnerships amongst ourselves as MDBs, as well as with specialized organizations and your governments and the African Union. And in so doing, we will work to enhance quality and depth of our engagement and dialogue with member countries and clients to seek solutions adapted to contexts and long-term goals. I thank you for your attention, Your Excellencies. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Muchera from the African Development Bank for giving those commitments, and I'm sure ministers of water and those who are involved in water were intently listening. May I call upon the former president of the United Republic of Tanzania, His Excellency Jakaya Kikwete, who is the co-chair of the AIP High-Level Panel on Water and Investment. Sir, this is Heads of State Round 1, Summary and Key Outcomes.
Your Excellency, Matamela Cyril Ramaphosa, President of the Republic of South Africa, Her Majesty King Mswati III of the Kingdom of Eswatini, Your Excellency Duma Boko, President of Botswana, the Deputy Prime Minister of Somalia, Honorable Ministers, development partners, representatives of international and regional organizations, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. Well, I thank you, President Ramaphosa, for the invitation to be part of this historic meeting, but more significantly for me, for being invited to join the Global Outlook Council on Water Investments as the alternate co-chair. I'd like to make it known to you, to Your Excellency, and to all my leaders present and distinguished participants present here today, that I've accepted to join the Council. I promise to try my best to live up to your expectations and that of those who thought of me when deciding on who to be member of the Council. My acceptance to join is guided by two factors. One, the importance I attach to the work of the Global Outlook Council. I know the circumstances behind its conception and its establishment. As such, I could not have declined. Especially, I could not say no to President Cyril Ramaphosa, a leader I have very high regard for. It would have been an act of irresponsibility on my part. And two, I'm aware that if the Council succeeds in delivering on its objectives, Africa and the people of Africa stand to benefit immensely. I understand the enormity of the water-related challenges facing our dear continent. There are today over 400 million people who are without access to clean drinking water on the continent. And 700 million people do not have access to good sanitation. Also that the social and economic sectors do not get all the water they need to thrive. It is in this dire situation of reality on the ground in our continent which led the high-level panel on water, co-convened in 2016 by the UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon and the then President of the World Bank, Jim Kim, to recommend in the outcome document in 2018 that Africa needed a specific water investment program. The panel comprised of 11 sitting heads of state and government from Australia, Bangladesh, Hungary, Jordan, South Africa, Mauritius, Mexico, the Netherlands, Peru, Senegal, and Tajikistan. You will see of the 11, 3 were heads of state from Africa. We were ably represented. On receiving the recommendations of the high-level panel on water investment convened by the UN and the World Bank, the Governing Council of the African Ministers, the Governing Council of the African Ministers Council on Water, AMCAO, decided to act. Working in collaboration with AUDA NEPAD, the African Development Bank, the Infrastructure Consortium for Africa, and the Global Water Partnership, of which the Southern African chapter, I am the chair of the board, a team of experts was convened to come up with the proposals of the Africa Water Investment Program. The outcome of the work of the experts was the conception of the Africa Water Investment Program, AIP, which was adopted by the Assembly of the African Union Heads of State and Government at the 34th Ordinary Session of the African Union Summit on the 7th of February in 2021. The AIP was adopted as the Program for Infrastructure Development in Africa Priority Action 2, PIPA, PIDA, PAP 2. So the African Water Investment Program is a program of the African Union. That's something that I would like to share with all of us here to know. I am sure many of you know. In 2022, the Assembly of African Heads of State and Government approved the African Water Investment Scorecard. This is an instrument specifically designed to track progress and accountability on the implementation of the Africa Water Investment Program. In the implementation of the African Water Investment Program, it was estimated by the experts that about between 54 billion to 64 billion would have to be invested annually to enable African countries to meet the objectives of SDG 6 on water and sanitation for all by 2030. It was revealed as well that existing investments in water and sanitation on the continent was between $11 and $19 billion annually. This, therefore, created an investment gap of around $30 billion. So the task ahead of us was to mobilize the $30 billion annually until 2030 to implement the objectives of the African Water Investment Program. And by so doing, we'll be implementing the objectives of SDG 6. Ladies and gentlemen, another landmark decision made by the high-level panel was to establish a high-level panel on Africa Water Investment Program at heads of state level. The objective of the panel was to spearhead the mobilization of resources for the implementation of the Africa Water Investment Program. It was agreed that the panel should comprise of leaders from Africa and the global north. It was in this regard that President, now late, Hage Geingob of Namibia, and President Macky Sall, now retired, of Senegal, and Prime Minister Mark Rutte of the Netherlands, now also retired, became co-chairs of the panel. Also, 6 heads of state and government were proposed and appointed to represent the 5 regions. The King, His Majesty King Mohammed VI of Morocco for the North Africa sector region, His Excellency Adama Barrow of Gambia for the West Africa region, His Excellency Felix Tshisekedi of the Democratic Republic of the Congo for the Central Africa region, Your Excellency Cyril Ramaphosa for the Southern African region, and that time Uhuru Kenyatta, who later retired, for the East Africa, who was President of the Republic of Kenya for the Eastern African region. President Samia Suluhu Hassan of Tanzania was added to bring the female factor to the team in consideration of the fact that water problems in Africa have a female face, unfortunately. It was also decided that I be made the alternate co-chair to sit in for the co-chairs in the event they were not available, or any of the 6 sitting heads of state and government in the high-level panel was also not present. It was the easiest job to do. You only wait until President Ramaphosa is not there, and he's always there, so. And again today, President Ramaphosa has appointed me alternate co-chair. I know he will always be there, so no problem. Your Excellencies, the high-level panel has been busy on behalf of the countries and peoples of our dear continent. On the 22nd of March, 2023, the high-level panel on water investments released its first report titled Africa's Rising Tide. This was during the UN 2023 Water Conference in New York. The report was outlining the pathways for countries to mobilize the $30 billion needed to close the existing water investment gap in Africa. It has factored the roles of governments, the roles of development partners, and the roles of the private sector in the implementation of the Africa Water Investment Program. It is a very elaborate document. And again, on the sidelines of the 78th UN General Assembly, in September 2023, the African Union Commission, in collaboration with the high-level panel on the Africa Water Investment Program, launched a campaign codenamed Mind the Gap, Invest in Water. It was meant to raise awareness and mobilize resources for implementation of the Africa Water Investment. In November 2023, the African Union Commission and the high-level panel launched the Africa Water Investments Action Plan. All these efforts, ladies and gentlemen, were part of the advocacy campaign to popularize the Africa Water Investment Program and mobilize support for its implementation. Your Excellency, President Ramaphosa, this summit today is another important milestone in the African Union and the Africa Water Investment, high-level panel on water investment in Africa, in efforts to address the water problems facing our countries and our peoples. We thank you, President Ramaphosa, and your esteemed government for collaborating with the African Union Commission and the Africa Water Investment Program high-level panel, of which you are a member. We are excited that this meeting is being held at a time when South Africa is assuming the presidency of the G20. And you are going to be the president of the G20 for the next year. We in Africa are excited, and we are full of expectations that good things will come out of South Africa's presidency of the G20. You have our support and the support of everyone on the continent. We are praying for your success. We are proud of you. Thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Ladies and gentlemen, whilst the Excellencies are settling, we are going into part of the program where we recognize commitment and potential. And I would want to request His Majesty the King to maybe come to the podium, and also President Boko to come to the podium. They will be handing over some of the awardees, yes, the awardees that will be receiving this. But before that, we'll get to see a video that talks about the background of the awards that we are about to present. If we can have the video, please. Thank you.
It is my sincere hope that the Water Changemaker Awards will bring the best of these innovations to light and link them with the due finance sources to enable them to scale up.
This initiative of K-Water, in which we are very proud to be associated, will bring new ideas that can be scaled up in the countries around the world to really address the financing gap, which can be met through, of course, new innovative models for delivering water services in the countries of work.
So there is a technical committee that sits and adjudicates on these things, and we have the chair here, who is Jay, after 30 years of a career in the World Bank. Jay is the chair of the GWP Technical Committee and chair of the jury of water awards, Changemaker awards, and also there's a partnership with K-Water, which is from South Korea. So Jay is going to be assisted also with Alex, who is, as you know, the CEO of GWP and AIP Secretariat. I will call out the awards, and His Majesty and the President of the Republic of Botswana the President of the Republic of Botswana will hand over the award. His Majesty will shake hands with those who have won. Now, drum roll if we have one. These are Presidential Global Water Changemakers Awards 2025. And the first recipient for this is His Excellency Cyril Ramaphosa, President of the Republic of South Africa, and the G20 chair. The President looks very surprised. Yes, sir. So I haven't finished, Mr. President. Alex, before you give, let's just read why we are giving the President: for launching the G20 Presidential Legacy Initiative, Global Outlook Council on Water Investments, and hosting the AIP Africa Water Investment Summit. That's the reason, sir. Congratulations, South Africa. And Mr. President, I hope you know that it doesn't end here, because this is recognizing commitment and potential for change makers. So commitment to others. Again, a round of applause. Second. The second award goes to His Royal Highness Prince Mohammed bin Salman Al Saud, who is the Crown Prince and Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. The representatives, I believe, are here. And again, he's getting this for launching the Global Water Organization as a transformative initiative to drive global cooperation on water, security, sustainable development, peace, and innovation. A round of applause for Saudi Arabia. Sorry? The Deputy Minister is receiving the award. He's coming up. Congratulations, Saudi Arabia. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Congratulations. Thank you very much. Now, we go further whilst Excellencies congratulating each other. The third one goes to His Majesty King Letsie III of the Kingdom of Lesotho, and this is for championing the Lesotho Highlands Water Project. South Africans will know something about that. As a model of transboundary cooperation for peace, resilience, and sustainable development, the Minister of Water is receiving on behalf of His Majesty King Letsie III. And the fourth and final award, oh no, not final, the fourth award goes to His Excellency Bassirou Diomaye Faye, President of the Republic of Senegal. This is for co-hosting the upcoming UN 2026 Water Conference with the UAE and sustaining high-level global water diplomacy that prioritizes investment and solidarity. Congratulations to His Excellency Faye of Senegal and to the Republic of Senegal. the Minister of Water from Senegal, and the chair of AMCAO is coming to receive on behalf of the President. Round of applause. Alex. Okay. Round of applause again as he... Last but not least, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, President of the United Arab Emirates. So this is for the UAE. And they are receiving it for co-hosting the UN 2026 Water Conference with the Republic of Senegal, sustaining high-level global water diplomacy that prioritizes investment and solidarity, elevating water in the global climate agenda through COP28, and promoting inclusive, blended finance models. A round of applause for UAE. That's the UAE. Where is it? A round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Tanzania. Yes. And lastly, Her Excellency Samia Suluhu Hassan, President of the United Republic of Tanzania, is receiving the award. And this is for developing the Tanzania Water Investment Program, advancing national and continental leadership in the water and climate space through strategic reforms, financing partnerships, and inclusive governance. A round of applause for the United Republic of Tanzania and to Her Excellency Suluhu Hassan. I think the minister is running. He is running towards her. And that's it, right? Yeah, I think you should. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And congratulations to all the recipients and the countries and their excellencies. Ladies and gentlemen, maybe just all right, whilst we're settling, may I invite again Alex to come and maybe just to give us a background a little bit on the awards and what they mean and why they think it's important to recognize those who have made the initiatives. Alex.
Your Excellencies, our host president, His Excellency Cyril Ramaphosa, Chair of the G20, His Majesty, King Mswati, the President of Botswana, Advocate Boko, former President Jakaya Kikwete, also our leader at the Secretariat of the Africa Water Investment Program, as well as alternate co-chair of the International High-Level Panel on Water. On behalf of the Global Water Partnership Organization, to which I assumed leadership, global leadership, just about 6 months ago in Stockholm, Sweden, we are very grateful for convening this summit and also launching the first ever Global Outlook Council on Water Investments. Mr. President, what you have done to the global water sector will be remembered in history. It's a significant milestone for the sector that has for so long been put on the sidelines. And yet, as the Honorable Minister Majordina often says, there cannot be dignity without water. We thank you, Your Excellencies, for your leadership. We hope that the partners that are here, having seen your demonstrated concrete leadership, launching the significant big project for Randwater just last week, one of the biggest, if not the biggest on the continent, and the leadership you have continued to demonstrate here, and seizing the G20 chairmanship to place water investments at their highest global leadership. That is significant. We thank you, we are truly honored, and the global community that are here, the investors, when they ask about leadership, it's here. Now, it's about the money, as you said, to flow. On behalf of the Global Water Partnership and all the partners that have been involved, we are honored for the responsibility that you have given us. Thank you very much, Mr. President, and thank you very much for all the leaders and the winners of the Changemakers. Thank you.
Thank you very much. As we move towards the last session of this or afternoon, it is important that Excellencies, Presidents, I acknowledge that some of your colleagues that are not here, they are well represented. Honorable Dr. William is a senior minister representing the President of Barbados. We also have Honorable Minister Balala representing the President of UAE. We also have Honorable Al-Fadli representing the President of Saudi Arabia. We do have Minister of Energy and Water, Honorable Batista Geza, who is representing the President of Angola. We also have Dr. Anxious Masuku of Zimbabwe representing the President of Zimbabwe. We also have the Minister of Foreign Affairs and African Issues, Minister Mohamed Baysat, representing the President of the Western Sahara, the Sahrawi Arab Democratic Republic. We also have the representative of President of Mozambique, who's represented by the Minister of Public Works, Housing and Water Resource. It is important that I mention these so that the media must not think that it was this only president that adhered to the call, but they are representatives of all these presidents that I've just mentioned here. As I said earlier, Honorable President, that we do have the ministers of water, Algeria, Benin, Botswana, Cote d'Ivoire, Egypt, Eswatini, Ethiopia, Ghana, Kenya, Lesotho, Liberia, Libya, Malawi, Morocco, Mauritania, Mozambique, Rwanda, Somalia, Togo, Tunisia, Zambia, Zimbabwe, Angola, as well as Saudi Arabia. So these are the ministers that are physically here. Can we give them a round of applause? Thank you so much. The head of state have spoken. There was a response. Awards were received here. This is the Water Investment Summit. What is the framework of this declaration that will take us forward? May I invite the Commissioner, Utata Moses Vilakazi, on behalf of the AU to present a framework on the declaration. Honorable His Excellency.
Director of Ceremonies, thank you very much. I thought you wanted me to sing because we are fond of being creative, which is very good, Your Excellencies. His Majesty the King of the Kingdom of Eswatini, King Mswati III, Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of South Africa, His Excellency Cyril Ramaphosa, Your Excellency Duma Boko, the President of the Republic of Botswana, Your Excellency Jakaya Kikwete, former President of Tanzania and alternate co-chair for the high-level panel on water investment programs, Your Excellency, the Deputy Prime Minister of Somalia, honorable ministers and deputy ministers, honorable leaders of international organizations and members of parliament present, distinguished financiers, as well as investors, all protocols observed. I was informed to summarize what the heads of states challenged the financiers on what to do. Your Excellencies, unfortunately, some of the financiers said they want to hide until tomorrow the pledges in billions to make sure that we can accomplish the 30 billion that is required. But it suffices to say that during the matchmaking, they have said they want to commit something. And that will be included in the declarations which will be read out on Friday, because some are saying they want to work out the sums. But we are very, very grateful, particularly for ADB, which has said now they are going to scale it up to how much we are still awaiting that response. Now, it is therefore an honor, Your Excellencies, due to time, to read the preliminary Cape Town Declaration on Africa Water Investment in the context of G20. The preamble reads, "We, the African heads of state and government, in the presence of other global leaders, gathered in Cape Town from 13 to the 15th August 2025 for the inaugural Africa Water Investment Summit, convened under the auspices of the African Union, the high-level panel on water investment for Africa, and the Republic of South Africa's G20 presidents. Also in attendance were the ministers and deputy ministers, financial institutions, investors, development partners, civil society, technical experts, philanthropic institutions, intergovernmental organizations, regional economic communities, United Nations agencies, private sector, youth, women, and academia, recalling the commitment of the African Union heads of states and government in July 2008 in terms of the Sharm el-Sheikh Declaration on Water and Sanitation, which is Assembled AU Declaration 112, which seeks to accelerate the achievement of water and sanitation goals in Africa. Also recalling the Africa Water Vision 2025, which envisions an Africa where there is equitable as well as sustainable use and management of water resources for poverty alleviation, socio-economic development, regional cooperation, and environment. Acknowledging that inadequate investments in water have affected the gains which have been made across all the Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs, and the critical role that water plays in climate change adaptation and mitigation and the goals of Agenda 2063. Recognizing that the Continental Water Investment Program, AIP, is the brainchild of the United Nations World Bank High-Level Panel on Water, HLPW. The HLW was established by the United Nations General Secretary Ban Ki-moon and the President of the World Bank, Jim Yong Kim, comprised of 11 sitting presidents as well as prime ministers. Recognizing the need to build climate resilience through water investments in Africa in response to the projected severe and more frequent impacts of climate change, as expounded in the African Union Climate Change and Resilient Development Strategy and Action Plan of 2022 to 2032, recalling the approval of the Continental Africa Water Investment Program, AIP, as part of the Program for Infrastructure Development in Africa Priority Action Plan 2, which is PIDA PAP 2, by the African heads of state and government during the 34th Ordinary Session of the African Union Assembly, which took place in February 2021. Recalling the launch of the high-level panel on water investments for Africa at the 9th World Water Forum in Dakar on the 25th March 2022, comprising of the founding co-chairs being the Republic of Senegal, the Republic of Namibia, the Kingdom of the Netherlands, and the 4th President of the United Republic of Tanzania. Noting that during the UN 2023 Water Conference in New York, the African Union and International High-Level Panel released the High-Level Panel report with pathways for countries to mobilize at least US 30 billion annually by 2030 to close the water investment gap in Africa as part of the UN Water Action Agenda. Noting that in December 2023, during the COP28 in Dubai, UAE, the African Union Commission and the AIP International High-Level Panel launched the Africa Water Investment Action and Plan, outlining how countries can mobilize additional US 30 billion per year, which is required to ensure water security and sustainable sanitation on the continent. Appreciating the AU resolution Resolution Revised 142, which approves the proposal to adopt assuring sustainable water availability and safe sanitation systems to achieve the goals of Agenda 2063 as the African Union theme of the year 2026. Recognizing the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for initiating the first G20 water dialogue under the KSA G20 presidents in 2020 that considered water as key for socio-economic development, supported by G20 member states. Recognizing that the summit is taking place at the historic time, marking the first ever G20 presidents hosted on the African soil and the progressive admission of the African Union into the G20 membership. Therefore, reaffirming that water and sanitation are not only foundational to peace, for economic growth and development, for human dignity and public health, but are also essential to climate resilience, for food security, economic transformation, and achievement of progress in implementing the SDGs. Appreciating the opportunity presented through the G20 presidents of South Africa to elevate Africa's water investments, minding the gap in water investments, and leveraging on the African Union's membership through the G20 and the opportunity to highlight the outcomes of the summit as addressed in the declaration. We hereby therefore commit to, 1, to create an enabling environment for enhancing investment for water and sanitation, aligned with national development plans, SDG 6, and the climate resilience priorities. 2, to scale up domestic public and private finance for water investments, including through national budgets and innovative financing mechanisms. 3, we commit to request the African Union Commission to continue providing leadership in the implementation of the Africa Water Investment Program, including supporting member states as well as regional economic communities to develop national and regional climate resilient water investments programs. 4th, further request the African Union Commission to support member states and regional economic communities in developing project pipelines to mobilize resources, including climate finance. 5th, we call for the reform of the multilateral financial institutions, taking into consideration the urgent need for accelerated investment in water and sanitation sector, to prioritize water and sanitation given to the Africa to bridge the water investment gap. 6th, deploy de-risking tools where they add value, particularly in underserved rural and peri-urban areas, as well as fragile and conflicted affected states, and for nature-based solutions. 7, raise the profile of water to drive sustainable economic growth and improve people's health, people's nutrition and prosperity across the continent, recognizing that water investment can reduce the impacts of climate change and build resilience. 8, call on governments and their development partners to work together to establish the conditions which are needed to attract as well as secure significant investments, including public and private finance, in increasing water security and access to safe water, sanitation, and hygiene. 9, mobilize concessional and catalytic investments to enable investments where private capital alone cannot flow. 10, prioritize public benefit and local ownership, particularly in areas where water services remain a critical human right and development enabler. 11, call upon the international and regional financial institutions in Africa to prioritize financing of water and sanitation investment pipelines, including innovative financing mechanisms. We also commend South Africa G20 presidents for the inauguration of the Global Outlook Council on Water Investments as a legacy initiative advocating for water investments at the highest levels of global diplomacy. We also request the inclusion of this declaration as part of the outcomes of South Africa's G20 presidents. We call on G20 leaders to support the endorsement of water as a core investment priority in the reimagining of multilateral finance. We also call upon the co-hosts, the UAE and Senegal, of the 2026 UN Water Conference to anchor the declaration into the preparatory process. We also resolve to convene an Africa Water Investment Summits every 4 years on a regional rotational basis under the coordination role of the African Union Commission. We also request the Republic of South Africa, in their capacity as the G20 presidents, to present this declaration to the 39th Ordinary Session of the African Union Assembly of Heads of State and Government in February 2026 for endorsement. This adopted on the 13th day August 2025 in Cape Town, South Africa. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Commissioner, for that draft. The draft has been shared with the offices of all heads of state. Ladies and gentlemen, you are such a calm crowd, good dignitaries, listened very well, and now we're going to get into the real business. But allow me, on your behalf, to thank all our heads of state as we give them leave from this plenary. Can we give a round of applause and give that standing ovation to allow the president?
Allow the president to leave with us. Ladies and gentlemen, whilst you are leaving, there is a correction that I just needed to make on one of the awards. If you could allow me, it is the UAE award. The recipient is His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, President of the United Arab Emirates, for co-hosting the UN 2026 Water Conference with the Republic of Senegal, sustaining high-level global water diplomacy that prioritizes investment and solidarity, elevating water in the global climate agenda through COP28 and promoting inclusive blended finance models. Now, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, I'll just hold on there. He is represented by His Excellency Sheikh Shakbut bin Nahyan Al Nahyan. He is the Minister of State for Foreign Affairs. I just want to say that for showing their commitment, I think we should show them a round of applause. They flew overnight. They flew overnight to come and stand with us here and support this conference. So, Minister, we honor you and we thank you for your commitment. Thank you very much.
Your Excellencies, we are running behind schedule. What will happen is that at the back there, at door number, at that door, I will ask the ministers and those who are representing the heads of state and the premiers, they will join our Deputy Minister Sitlulu. They are taken somewhere. All the delegates, I also have the protocol team who are going to the exhibition center where we are going to have lunch. Lunch is going to start now exactly at 2:30. We'll be seated with all the financiers, do plenary number 2, where we're actually making the firm commitments about those particular issues. Ministers, deputy ministers, and heads of delegation, and our premiers, there is Deputy Minister Sitlulu there. Just please raise your hand at the back, and the ushers take all our delegates to the exhibition center, where we'll find lunch. Exactly at 2:30, all the panelists must be seated. Once again, thank you very much. Our session is adjourned. Thank you.